Hello, Beatball World. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Beatball Blues Show. Got Seth Dog back with me co-hosting. Got a guest for you. Now, about to bring in. First, I would like to tell you all, if you like the music that you hear on this show, well, if you like it or not, I'd like you to go check out my buddy Slim Bob, B-A-W-B, Slim Bob Pierce, and the fabulous Stump Grinders are about to release another album in October, but their single, Don't Know When to Quit, is already available. You can pull up the video on YouTube. You can pull up the song and other music by Slim Bob on Amazon Music and on Spotify. So if you would check him out for me, he's kind enough, using music on the YouTube channel. He got worried about copyrights and stuff, and he didn't hesitate to let me use his music, told me to use whatever I want, however I want. So I just want to show him some love back. So if you could look up Slim Bob and the song Don't Know What to Quit, crank it up. I like it, but of course I'm a fan. So what else am I going to say? But with that, I will bring in my co-host, Seth Bam Bam Clark. Welcome back to the show, Seth Dog.
Neil Dog. You
you did it again. You always come in all lazy and quiet. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You must have told me about that Bob thing before, but hearing you spell Bob, B-A-W-B, I was like, oh, yeah, I've heard that before. I'm doing all right, Neil Dog. Doing all right. Glad to be back on the show, Neil Dog. You want some good energy? Here I go. Come
on. Next time you come over, I have one of his songs because, when he lived here in the Sacramento area, we were playing with the Dogs, and I was going out and watching his band all the time and stuff. They were playing more. I mean, they started out kind of like a Southern rock band, and then they got more when they got added in some horns, got more like a funk sound to them. But now that he's living in San Antonio and he's going by Slim Bob, he plays what's called Americana music. It's kind of like country sound with a kind of a Mexican feel to it a little bit, like Mexican guitars and like Spanish guitars and stuff. But he has a song he's had for like 4 or 5 years now, but I just heard it in the last few months. It's a fishing song, and it kind of reminds me of that old Elvin Bishop song that I used to play for you. Yeah, going fishing. Yeah. Not that, I mean, I don't want the audience to think you're a big country fan, even though you do like some country stuff. You're not a country fan, but
I'm a man of many tastes, Neil Dog.
Right. But this song by Slim Bob, I think it's Going Fishing. I think you like it, so I want to pull it up for you next time you're around. But enough on that. I also want to bring in our guest from Atlanta, Georgia, I believe, but he is a member of the San Antonio Jets and one of the best defensive players in our game, Mr. Isaiah Wilcox. Hey, Isaiah, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got to share both with Seth and the audience the nonsense I put you through getting you on the show. Probably going back like a month, as I was seeing the teams that were going to be playing in this Hitters and Heroes tournament that was hosted by the Indy Edge just last weekend. There's, this Atlanta Chaos team there. And then at some point shortly after that, I read that Richie Flores would be playing with it. And, I make too many assumptions and just like jump like, oh, I'm going to do a show about blah, 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 without even checking out the deets and making sure I got everything straight. And so I'm thinking with this Jets connection, obviously and this Georgia connection. Am I right? Are you in Georgia somewhere?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, I thought I did have that assumption correctly. So I'm like, so obviously Isaiah's going to be playing with it, and I'd seen your name when I was researching a show where I was going through the All-Star list, I was seeing your name all over the defensive All-Star list. And I was like, man, obviously he'll be playing on that team, so I'll get Isaiah on. We'll talk about the chaos. And, you were telling me, yeah, I'll come on the show, but you weren't really responding to me much about this chaos thing or whatever. Then I call Richie Flores. He's like, well, yeah, I'm playing with him, but Isaiah's not. I'm like, well, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you being patient. I told you, I was like, man, I'm sorry. I want to do this chaos thing, and I'll get you on soon. So I appreciate you putting up with my nonsense, man.
Hey, no problem.
You're very cool about it. Are you a fan? This has nothing to do with your personal interview on the show. Nothing to worry about. Are you a fan of the show Jeopardy by any chance?
Absolutely.
You are? All right, I'm not.
Absolutely.
Seth is. Seth is. So you guys will finally start bonding a little bit here. But I'm not a big fan of it, but Seth and I are going to somewhere. I would say, Seth, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to debut our Beat Baseball Jeopardy game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Seth and I have been working it. I promoted it a little bit, said it was coming, and Seth and I worked it out a little bit in the last few days. So thought we should lay it out, Seth Dog, tell people what they're looking at. I think we're doing a good job, if I'm correct, in staying true to the game in our plan.
I think, it's funny, it's ironic and funny. I've been a fan of Jeopardy all these years, right? Forever and ever, since I could see, 30 years ago. And in all those years, I've never known anybody who's actually been on Jeopardy. But yesterday, Chris's sister's friend was actually on Jeopardy, so we were watching.
Oh, no
her.
way.
Yeah, right. We just got to watch her. And, there was a returning champion, and he hadn't won that much money. Because he had, in Final Jeopardy, he had written an answer and then crossed it out, and then wrote the wrong answer, and so he didn't win by that much. And in Final Jeopardy, she had a chance to win the game. She had $14,000. She bet $13,000. And she wrote down the right answer, crossed it out, wrote down
Isn't that like the golden rule too? Never go off your first.
And Alex had brought up what had happened on the previous game with the champion at the beginning of the game. Saying, you never want to cross out your answer or whatever. Oh man, it was funny. Not funny, heartbreaking, but funny,
Yeah.
Because
it is ironic though, because literally, wasn't it just yesterday, or was it the day before when we kind of finally sat down and talked about how we would do this? Yeah, it was. That's crazy. That all the I've known you to be a Jeopardy fan for 30 years, all the time I've known you. So wow, that's wild. All right. Well, just real quick to get our audience ready for what we're going to be doing. So we plan to have 3 contestants. We haven't decided on how we're going to do that yet. But at some point, we're going to be reaching out, try and get people interested to come on and compete. There will be 3 total rounds, 3 categories in the first 2 rounds. And then the final Beat Baseball Jeopardy at the end. The first round, there'll be 3 questions in each of the 3 categories. And I'm thinking just going 1, 2, and 3 for the points, Seth. And you said it's good in the second round to double the points, and then, right? Double. Huh?
That's what they do in Jeopardy. Yep. That's what they do in Jeopardy. Yep.
All right. So in the second round, it'll be the same thing. There'll be 3 rounds of 3 categories, 3 questions in each category, and we'll move the points up to 4, 2, 4, and 6. And then in the final Jeopardy, people will have their opportunity to bet the points they have. You can pick. I guess, is that right? You guys know the game better than I do. They can pick how many of their points they would like to spend against.
That was the point that was the point that the friend was at last night. She was
Right.
able to bet as much money as she wanted in, and she did. She almost bet it. It would have been a huge payday, man. A nice payday. $27,000 payday. It would have been nice. Go ahead. Sorry to sidetrack you.
No, you're good.
But yeah.
All right, and that'll be the same thing. Only we'll have a prize for the winner. We haven't decided on that yet, but I've got some cool ideas. We ended up getting cut off before I jumped into that with you, but I want to go over my ideas with you, see what ideas you have. But my ideas are mostly blind and beat ball even related. So. That's where I'll be looking at prize wise, but we'll figure all that out later. But I just wanted to promote that, start getting people ready for that, because I think now that we figured it out, next week's definitely out, but either 2 or 3 weeks from now, we should throw that together.
So.
All right.
Sounds good.
This dude, Isaiah Wilcox, I'm not sure. I'll ask you in a minute, Isaiah, what year you start playing and how you got into it. But I just want to point out to the audience that since 2014, in 2015, 2018, and 2019, I believe I have that right, this dude was a defensive all-tournament player. And in 2015, 16 and 17, this dude was a defensive MVP, including in 2014 averaging almost 8 putouts a game. Isaiah, man, where did you come from to become such a defensive beast? How did you find the game of beat baseball?
So I started beat baseball in 2014 with the Atlanta Eclipse. I kind of went to a couple practices before 2013, just playing around. But in 2014, I decided to really take it serious. Back then, Billy Bosser was the coach of the Atlanta Eclipse, and we had some intense practices. Several times got hit on top of the head with a couple balls from the coach. So that really woke me up and gave me what I needed to really focus on the game, I guess. But yeah, my first year ever going to a tournament, like you said, averaging 8 putouts per game. I think it was something like 48 putouts total for that tournament. Yeah, man, beat baseball has been a blessing to my life, fun to play. And for me, it's in my mind, I think mathematically, so it's more of a geometry game to me, to be able to put up those kind of numbers on the defensive end.
How did you find the game? Like, who brought you to it?
Oh, good question. I think I have a few friends that played it. We played goal ball not too far away from where they were playing beat baseball. And I know one of my friends in particular just kept telling me to come out. The Eclipse at that time was they would go to the World Series, but they were more of the recreational type of group. So I kind of shied away from it, but somehow, some way they got me in, and I loved it ever since.
That's a trip that
I got a lot. You bring me on. You got 2 defensive players. You bring me on. I don't know a damn thing about defense and playing it, man. I don't know why you brought me onto this show, man. why possibly did you bring me on with defensive MVPs and stuff like that? Man? What are you talking about, man? I appreciate it, though, man.
Well, I don't even though the majority of my all-tournament stuff happened on the defensive side, I don't have any defensive MVPs to my. He's got as many defensive MVPs as I do appearances on the stupid all-tournament team, man. So you don't even put me in his category. Are you a goal ball player too, or did you play goal ball back then?
Yeah, I played goal ball in high school and middle school, but I haven't played since then.
Who has had like the biggest influence on you defensively while you've been playing?
It's a good question. And I don't want to sound narcissistic, but no one. I've kind of taken that on my own and really just tried to perfected. There are some, great players out there, especially on the Jets team. They really pushed me to be more aggressive. Kevin, as far as being a coach, has definitely taught me. Even on the Eclipse, he would come down and show me a couple things defensively, to make my game better.
And that's not a bad influence to have. Somebody's been around the game for over 30 years. Honestly, that was one of the things that grabbed my attention with you. You did well with Atlanta, but your first year with, I believe your first year with the Jets was 2017, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and you were the MVP that year. So, getting out there like with Atlanta, you weren't playing in the big games on Friday and Saturday or whatever, and so going out there and playing on a championship, a team that's trying to win a championship, and still putting MVP type numbers. That's impressive. Talk about the transition of going from like a recreational team to a team that's ready to win a championship.
It definitely made me step up my game. The Jets are an elite group of players. Like you said, playing other teams that are elite was a challenge for me, not more so physically, but just mentally, getting prepared to, take on those big teams like the Indy Edge, Indy Thunder. Definitely a challenge, but one that I was welcome to take in. Like I said, defensively, I did pretty well in 2017. 2018, it was okay. 18 was not my best year. 19 either. I did pretty well, but it is definitely making me step up my game. And now I'm focusing more on offense. I wish we could have had a chance to go to the World Series this year. But yeah, overall, just making me step up my game.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Hold on.
Yeah, sure.
Bill, shut up. I'm sorry.
All right.
What position do you play? Right. I'm assuming you're a front man with the eight, the averaging 8 putouts for Atlanta. But did you play up front for Atlanta, and do you still play up front? I mean, where are you at in the defensive scheme?
Yeah, still up front. Always short on the strong side. This is where I've always played.
All right, go ahead. Now, I was just wondering.
I mean, go ahead, John. I've got all these notes written down.
Well, I will say when I first started for the Eclipse, I would switch. So we played the 6-man in the back, kind of like a sweep. So I love that position. It didn't work well for us as far as the team goes, but I have played in the back before.
Just kind of like a rover to where you moved around.
Correct.
Yeah, I personally, I don't know about you, Seth. I've never been big on that personally. Like I feel like if somebody's a good infielder, you leave them on the infielder. I mean, there are players. I mean, you and I, Seth, got to play with Johnny Guzman, one of the greatest of all time. And I remember Johnny wanted that. Like, if we were playing a team that hit a lot of grounders, he wanted to play like up front. And if we were playing, Albuquerque or Austin, he wanted to play in the back. And I know there's probably players that are good at that. And I'm not even saying, Isaiah, that you weren't good at it or what. I have no idea. I personally, from a philosophy standpoint, have never liked moving players around. If you're a good outfielder, you should stay in the outfielder. If you're a good infielder, you should stay in and protect the infield. But I mean, that's just, I don't know, the way I think. I didn't like it, like when DB would get moved out. He's one of the best infielders ever. Like, why would anybody move DB and have him playing in outfield? You know what I mean?
And the thing is, I mean, beat ball is just like other sports. If you move somebody out of position, right, there's usually a reason somebody's good up front, right?
You're right.
And if you move them out, back, that doesn't mean that skill set is gonna necessarily transfer. So people think, oh, well, I can just slide him to the back and he can just grab any ball out there, and it's
right.
doesn't necessarily work out that.
I coming, like, being totally honest though, like as I was speaking, I started like running out of steam because you had mentioned, like, just like in real life, moving like a first baseman to the outfield doesn't always work well or whatever, vice versa. But I'm a Los Angeles Dodger fan, and Cody Bellinger, one of their players, it's not something that, I've been following baseball. I'm 52. I've been following baseball all of my life that I can remember. You know what I mean? I've been a Dodger fan since I was like first, second grade, whatever. So, but this guy, Cody Bellinger, he literally is a gold glover at first base. He's a gold glover in right field. He's a gold glove in center field. He's playing center field now, but I'm not exaggerating because I'm a fan. I mean, he literally is that. He's our best player. Well, they traded for Mookie Betts, so he's not our best right fielder per se anymore. But whether he's at first or center, he's our best defensive player by a long ways. And he can move back and forth, and it doesn't seem to hurt him. So obviously, there's got to be
bringing it to the beat ball world. You could do that with Johnny, Johnny Guzman.
So I'm sure there are players.
Yeah, there are players who do that, but I'm just saying, if you have some people aren't a Gold Glove everywhere, you know what I'm saying, and they have a certain skill set that makes them a Gold Glove in the position they're at, and so that's all I was saying. So
now, in the end too,
just get scared of the balls that are hit hard. Maybe he's like you, Neil Dog, can only field the balls that stop in front of you at 40.
I even messed up some of those. But in the end, though, like with you, Isaiah, when you were playing with the Eclipse, like you guys went into most your games knowing it was a long shot to win. So when it comes to like a strategy standpoint, at some point a coach has got to say, all right, I've got to take my best defender and try to stop something someplace.
Right. Put him wherever he can. Fill a hole.
So Isaiah, for other players who are getting into the game, like what are some of the things that you would encourage them to work on if they want to try and reach your level?
So a few things. One, I would say it's very, very important, and I know we talk about it a lot, but it's putting the center of your body on the ball. Like, a lot of people don't really get that concept. I used to do a lot of practicing, not even catching the ball. I just wanted to get my body in the center of the ball as
lined up
as I could. Yeah, absolutely. The second thing is understanding your zone. We play the 2-2-2 on the Jets, and so I know if I'm the front right guy, I can go X amount of feet to my left, X amount of feet to my right, forward, backwards. And legit, if you come to a game, you'll see anytime before a game, I'm walking the field. I'm trying to get a feel for, how far I can go up. Coffin corner, I practice, just jogging up to the coffin corner to see, how far that is. So being generally aware where you are on the field, so that you're comfortable. A lot of people aren't comfortable on the field under, sleep shades or mindfolds. And for me, it's about getting comfortable where I am, talking to the people to my left and behind me, and just being absolutely calm and comfortable so that when a ball comes, I'm there. I have no reservation about getting in front of it and snatching it up.
Yeah, I love all of that. Seth, going back to the first part of his answer, or being lined up on the ball, that like ring any bells for you?
Yeah, no, yeah, right. All that stuff, right? It's all
right.
It's all right out of the dog playbook.
Yeah, the team that Seth and I played for, Isaiah, together, we were founding members of the West Coast Dogs. And defense was our thing. I mean, we won our first championship in 1999 with like 69% contact. Like something no team has, I believe, ever done is win a championship with less than like even 80% contact, I bet. But we did it with defense, and our defense was led by Don Robinson, who coached us. And one thing that he taught that I started thinking about while you were talking about getting lined up on the ball, something that he taught and would still teach, and I would always teach now, is looking at the ball. You know what I mean? We're talking to blind people, so nobody would ever think to say that. And it took a almost blind coach to say it to a bunch of blind people. But I say it now to coaches who are asking for tips. Like, man, if they're not looking at the ball, they don't know where it is. Because when somebody says, hey, so-and-so, you turn and look at where that came from. You don't like look the opposite direction. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like if you're tuned in and you know where that ball is, you're looking at it. And so that you talking about getting square, because that you're the rest of your body's go follow that. You know what I mean? If you're squaring your ears up, you're gonna square your body up.
Absolutely. And another thing that I do is like because I'm short, like both of the bases are to my left and to my right, and so I always, whenever they do a base check, I always line myself up with the bases, because then I know at least if I have it perfectly on both sides, then I'm at least directly at the pitcher. And like you said, every movement that ball makes, from the time the pitcher has it behind his back to the time he's ready to throw to the time that it's hit by the player, I'm paying attention to where that ball is and where the center of my body is, especially so if it's down the third base line, hit down the third base line, I know that I have to cut to my right at a certain degree or a certain angle to still get my body in front of it, whether I'm sliding where I can go and just pick it up.
How tall are you? You said you're short.
5'11".
All right. Well, I'm 5'11". So really, Seth and I would even consider, like, you and I kind of almost on the tall side. I think shorter players make better infielder, or at least they are potentially set better to make better infielders. So I was with you on on that, but even at 5'11", some would argue. I mean, that it's not tall, but Seth is 6'5", so Seth would never call it tall. But when I'm thinking of short infielders, I'm thinking
play quarterback in the NFL. Oh, I'm sorry, Kyle.
But when I think of short infielder, I'm thinking of like 5'8", 5'7", being like Danny Fapiano and DB, like have perfect at 5'4", 5'2", whatever. I don't even know. I don't even think DB is 5'2", but you know what I mean. They got that low center of gravity to be able to get down on balls. So you know what. Go ahead.
I would just say, to compensate for that, I don't know, my coach doesn't like it, but I set up in a more of a football stance, so I'm already low to the ground. I don't like standing with my feet side by side. I do 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, because I guess that's the reason, because I'm so tall. In this position, I have to be able to get out of the gate quick, and so to compensate, I use a football stance.
So are you saying like with one hand in the dirt, almost like a track start?
Almost. I'm pretty low. Kevin would obviously say I'm not low enough, but I think.
Doesn't that hurt your lateral movement? I would think that would make it tough to get off going left or right.
I do struggle going left, going right. I'm pretty good.
That's not it. That's not the stance thing, I would imagine. though. You should. I mean, if
no. Yeah.
His stance should be. I mean, his stance should be fine. I mean, he's not. What he's describing, he should be able to go left, right. Normally, left, right. I'm sure his weight.
And I will say it just depends on who we're playing. If we're playing like Indy Thunder, who I know is going to hit it, a little harder than some of the teams that don't, I'll change my stance. But if I know the majority of the hits are going to, go just past 40 feet or are going to be slow rollers, then I'll use the football stance.
Yeah, Listening to you talk about it, I hear the experience or whatever. I played for over 20 years, and I played up front for the large majority of that. And just listening to you talk about, you kind of get a feel for teams and players, and you don't always take the same approach from at bat to at bat, and that's just pure experience talking right there. Talk about your offense then a little bit, because you're in Seth. He's one of the best power hitters our game has ever seen. So we got to talk a little offense while we got him with us. But where are you at with your offense?
I'm trash. If that is a thing. No, I mean I've been in the starting lineup on both sides of the ball. Of course, a lot of the other guys on the Jets are better hitters than me. I'm still sort of getting used to Kevin and his cadence, but I'm getting there. I'm working to get over 500 next year.
Man, that's I mean, not the lack of getting over 500, but not being used to Kevin's cadence. You've been with us since 2017, dude. Come on, man. What's going on with you? You act like that's some kind of chump pitcher that gives you a different cadence every time. Come on, man. Get your game together. The defensive all-star can't get Kevin down after 4 years?
Some games I'm really really good, and others I'm just trash. But we'll get there.
Go ahead.
I can't imagine anybody strikes out, but with Kevin, very often, when you say trash, I mean obviously you're not, but like what is the? I mean, do you not have a lot of power? Or are you not? I assume you're fast, extremely fast. To play up front and stuff, or I guess Neil wasn't extremely fast, relatively fast. So what do you think when what about your offensive game outside of the cadence? Do you need to work on or whatever?
Yeah. No, not all Kevin. It's all me.
No.
One like you said, just the speed.
we wouldn't have let you blame Kevin.
I've got slower over the years, out the bag into the bag. I mean, of course, in like anyone, you miss a base. But two, like Seth, like you said, just the power aspect.
Right.
And I think in the stats of the show when. I did go to the Jets. My percentage got lower because I'm hitting the ball, but I'm hitting the ball against a better defense. So
right.
I know in the Eclipse,
playing in bigger games.
Yeah, in my first year, I think I was on the offensive all-star team. But as we started playing better teams, my stats dropped.
All right. 2014. I don't know. I know we played.
What did you say?
In 2014, that was the Georgia tournament, I believe, right?
No, 2013 was. I started to mention that earlier.
2014.
It's wild to me that you practiced with them in 13, but didn't play with them when the tournament was right there in your home state.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I guess it's more surprising. It's like if they couldn't get you hooked when it was right there in your state, then they were able to get you to travel after that. That's impressive. They must have stuck with it.
Oh yeah.
Stuck with it. Well, cool, man. I'd like to know before we part with you, do you have who are some of the players around the nation that you're a big fan of?
I'm sucking for.
Hey, you can tell him, man. You tell him, man, I don't ride on other people's jock, man. Come on. If they're paying my bills, I ain't gonna come out here and plug them. Come on now, you ain't gotta tell them that. No, go ahead.
Now you could do like your teammate, my boy D. Smith. He couldn't think of anybody's name, so he's like, man, I just like my teammates. I don't like nobody else.
There you go. I second what you said.
Jet live. Well, very cool, man. I appreciate you coming on. Again, I'm sorry for the nonsense and my assumptions and pulling you in and out, but I appreciate you sticking with me and coming on here.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
Should tell the audience, because Isaiah shared this with us before we started the show, but Isaiah just got married earlier this year, so congratulations to the newlyweds.
Thank you.
Got married in Barbados, so that this is a traveling dude right here. So it's a little more impressive than we're used to from our blind crowd.
We're an international crowd now, though, Neil Dog. We got a team from the Caribbean. I don't know where,
but the Dominican.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the Dominican.
I forget the name.
Yes, sir. Well, very cool. I appreciate you coming on, Isaiah. I wish you luck going forward. I assume you're sticking with the Jets and staying with what you guys are building over there.
Absolutely, Jet life for life.
Even though you lost Richie Flores, I broke the news. He signed a 3-year deal with the Atlanta Chaos. That's just sarcasm, though. I was trying to start some trouble. It didn't go anywhere, but I'll take a second effort at it.
That veteran minimum.
I would like to promote the show for next week real quick. I'm kicking Seth off for another week. Next week we are going to do a show about trauma. It's an idea that's been in the hopper for a while. David Smith is coming back. After the first time D. Smith was on the show back in July, he and I were talking afterwards, and it came up that he's actually in treatment, dealing with PTSD. And we had wished that we talked about it during the show, because I'm proud of him for taking on the challenge of therapy, especially as such a heavy thing to deal with, and that he's big enough and bold enough to talk about it openly. From that kind of came the idea of doing a show about it, because I have no doubt, Seth and Isaiah, you guys probably would agree that, with our sport, so many of our players end up players because of a trauma of some sort. Seth got shot in the face, Isaiah. I had a chain break, a boat that was pulling another boat, and the chain broke, and the chain hit me in the face. We've got players who lost their eyesight from hunting accidents, car accidents. I mean, there's a lot of trauma in our sport, so I thought it would make a valuable episode. I don't know, good is the right word for such a heavy topic. But also my friend Tracy is going to come on, because she's somebody else who's blind, who has been treated for PTSD. And then I have a therapist who ended up in such a small world, because I didn't know this until talking to her, but it turns out she's somebody that Bam Bam knows. But a therapist who she too is blind. She specializes in trauma. Her name's Michelle Godwin. So Michelle and Tracy and David Smith and I are going to sit down next week, and we're going to have a real deep conversation about trauma and how to recognize it, how to deal with it. And I don't think it'll be fun, but I think it'll be valuable, because whether you're blind or not, I'm sure almost anybody knows somebody that is dealing with trauma, has dealt with trauma, has been through trauma. They're not dealing with it. There's so many layers to that onion, and we're going to dive into it next week. Do either of you gentlemen have any final words before we part? Oh, that's
Cowboys.
deep.
Go Cowboys.
Boo, boo, Cowboys. Boo.
Go Cowboys. What else can you say? Go Cowboys.
Can't believe you still support that racist owner. You should be ashamed of yourself, Seth. Are you a football fan, Isaiah?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's right. That was going to be my first question to you. The most important
hey, I'm just going to guess. He supports a racist owner, too. I'm just going to guess. Take a wild guess.
Who's your team, Isaiah?
Falcons.
I don't know anything about the Falcons ownership.
I don't know anything about him, but I'm going to say probably.
He's pretty cool. I don't know nothing
Dan
about
Quinn.
Not Dan Quinn. That's my guy's name.
I know nothing about it.
I couldn't even tell you. But I'm not making any comment. I know the
You
Atlanta
called
Hawks.
my owner racist, man. Come on now. You called the Dallas Cowboys owner, my beloved owner, Jerry Jones, man. Mr. Jerry, I get it done. Jones, a racist.
I know the Atlanta Hawks have an owner that's got some severe, or I'm sorry, maybe not the Hawks, the owner, the WNBA team. Yeah, their owner's got some severe problems, and in my opinion, should be out of the league. But I won't go anywhere on the Falcons. But what I was going to ask you, the important question, Isaiah, because I
Falcons. I'm sorry. You know, the Falcons about to get their butts kicked this weekend. You know that. I'm just saying. But go ahead.
That's where we're going. I can't even think. What's your receiver's name? Not Cooper, not C.D. Lamb. The other dude, Michael somebody.
Michael Gallup.
He's on my fantasy football team. I didn't play him last week, but I'm playing him this week against the Atlanta secondary. Although I'm playing him as a flex player, and I chose him over David Johnson only because David Johnson's going against the Baltimore defense. So I think I have a better matchup against your secondary, Isaiah. Hope that doesn't offend. But I was going to ask you because when I interviewed Richie Flores on a couple weeks ago, it was just before the Jets were going to do their fantasy football draft. And Richie had doubts that you would show up live. He said you'd probably just let the computer pick the team. So I was going to see if Richie was right or if you showed up and drafted your own.
Yeah, Richie did me wrong, but he was right. I've been so busy with work lately. I actually let the computer do it. I'm actually got some time today, so I'm gonna reclaim my team. I lost my first week, but I'm picking it back up. I came in third last year against them, so I need to come back for first.
Since you play in the Jets fantasy league, who do you play over the weekend? Who do you lose to?
Demo.
Demetrius Mora, another man's been on the show.
Yeah. So.
All right. Any closing words, Seth Dog? You good?
No. Enjoy. Have fun. Enjoy the weekend. And see you in 2 weeks.
If you're lucky. We will definitely get Bam Bam back. We'll get Beat Baseball Jeopardy going either 2-3 weeks. I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be fun. Isaiah, Seth's Aunt Cindy, who's also my Aunt Cindy, via default or proxy, I guess is the right way to say that. But we always end the show by saying goodnight to Aunt Cindy. I was wondering if you would do the honors for us this week.
I appreciate it. Absolutely. And before I do that, I just want to thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely.
And thank you and good night, Aunt Cindy.